Please rise for the singing of our national anthem and remain standing for the commencement invocation. Gentlemen, please remove your hats.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, though bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please remain standing for the invocation. Let us bow our heads. Our most gracious Heavenly Spirit, we come to you with joy in our hearts and thank you for bringing us to this, our graduation. We offer our deepest thanks for the focus, direction, strength, and endurance which led to the success of these Indian River State College graduates. You created the knowledge and understanding they have mastered. You have created the curiosity and capacity of learning which led them in pursuit of an education. As we look around this room, we are especially thankful of the parents, partners, siblings, teachers, friends, and loved ones who encouraged our graduates, counseled them, and extended a helping hand when needed. Today, as we honor these students, we also pray for tomorrow, as this graduation opens another door to another time. Just as you have led them in the past, please lead them now into the future. Guide them in making a lifelong mission of positive impact on others they meet. We ask these and all blessings in your name. Amen. Please be seated.
Honored graduates, honored baccalaureate level graduates, parents, relatives, spouses, children, grandparents, faculty, administrators, staff, and all of the guests here today. Welcome to the 2018 Spring Commencement Ceremony for Indian River State College. Before we begin, I want to introduce to you the policymakers of our institution. These individuals are appointed by the governor of the state of Florida. They serve on the board of trustees of our college, and I'm going to call all of their names and ask them to stand. If you'd please hold to your applause until all the names are called. From Indian River County, we have Mr. Mark Fuhrer. From St. Lucie County, Ms. Susie Karen. From Okeechobee County, Ms. Phoebe Rollerson. From Okeechobee County, Ms. Krista Luna. From Martin County, Ms. Vicki Davis. And from Martin County, Mr. Tony George. Please join me in a round of applause for them. At this time in the ceremony, it's an honored tradition here at Indian River State College to ask all of the women and all of the men who are veterans in our audience, or if you're currently serving active duty with the military, protecting us and protecting our country, will you please stand and let us recognize you? And now, students, looking toward you a little bit. Let me tell you some things about your class. In 1962, the first graduating class of Indian River, there were 28 students. Today, 3,951 students. So you are a part of the largest graduating class that has ever taken place here at Indian River State College. I don't know how much you're going to celebrate that, but I'm telling you, you have only 1 year to celebrate being the largest. This time next year, I'm sure we'll have more, but this year you are the largest graduating class. A couple of other things I want to share with you is over the last few years that you have attended Indian River, you may have started as a freshman, went all the way to your baccalaureate degree, but over those years, our college in 2015 became one of the top 10 colleges in the nation out of 1,100 colleges like ours across the United States. In 2017, we were the top 3. We were in the top 3 in the nation. In 2019, this will be celebrated again, and we want to go to the #1 school in the nation, and hopefully that happens. The role that you play in that as students is far greater maybe than you even imagine. By coming and working, dedicating yourself to your studies, working to stay in school, working to graduate from college. Those are all measures that we're looked at on. And it's very important. You got involved in clubs and organizations, student government. You went to Tallahassee to help to lobby for the college. Some of you went to Washington to help to lobby for the college. So you've been very, very engaged and very, very involved. Your ideas were incorporated into policies across our institution, so feel very proud that you were a major part. You were not just a student coming and passing through. You were a major part of making this college what it is today, and we appreciate that so much. A couple of things about you. As you go out now, you're a better communicator than you were when you started. You're more knowledgeable of technologies, different types of technologies, how to use technology, how to get technology to work for you. You are more knowledgeable of our community. more knowledgeable of global, social, cultural, and ethical kinds of policies and procedures, and you're more involved and you're more knowledgeable of civic engagement and how that works across the community. And above all, you are better thinkers, critical thinkers, and you're problem solvers. Many of you will continue your education. Many of you will accept jobs. You're going to hear from a great speaker, and you're going to hear a great story today, and you're going to hear about that need as you leave here and go into the world of work or continue your education. You have to be a critical thinker, and you have to be a problem solver. So thank you for what you've done. Thank you for applying yourself. Thank you for working hard, and thank you for reaching this plateau, which not a lot of people do anymore, considering percentage-wise, and you'll hear about that a little bit, and you have done it. So we want to thank you very much on behalf of our trustees, on behalf of myself, and one of the big things in doing it were all the people sitting around you, all the people who came to see this take place. They are bubbling with pride. They're bubbling with happiness. Don't ever, ever, ever forget to say thank you. Say it more than once. Say it every time you see them. They have supported you through a lot, and if you told your personal story, I bet we would learn about all that support. The other thing is you had a group of people that are specially trained, and they're excellent, they're great. In fact, I think they're the greatest in the country in what they do, and that's the faculty of Indian River State College. So I'd like for the faculty to please stand, and students and others, please join us in applauding our faculty. Now I have the opportunity and honor to present you with your keynote speaker today. In December 2017, Mr. James F. McDonald was selected to serve as Assistant Secretary for the Department of Homeland Security, Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction's office. The mission of the newly established office is to counter attempts by terrorists and other threat actors to carry out an attack against the United States or its interests using weapons of mass destruction. Prior to his position, he was appointed by President Trump in June of 2017 to serve as the director of DHS, Domestic Nuclear Detonation Office. Mr. McDonald is a recognized expert in the area of weapons of mass destruction. He enlisted in the Navy at an early age in 1975. You'll hear about that story. And retired as a commissioned officer after 20 years of service in special operations and counterterrorism. After leaving the Navy, he founded the National Security Programs Business Unit at Oak Ridge Associated Universities and managed a number of terrorism-related national security activities. He has senior executive experience in the private sector and the federal government, where he has served in the Department of Homeland Security, in the Department of Energy, and also at the White House. Following 9/11, Mr. McDonald became the founding director of the Office of Energy Assurance, which is responsible for the protection of our nation's energy infrastructure. As a result, he was tapped by President George W. Bush to help create the Department of Homeland Security and develop many of the infrastructure and national protection plans that protect us today and that exist today. He also attended Harvard University Senior Executives in National and International Security Programs. Please join me with a warm Indian River welcome to our speaker today, Assistant Secretary James McDonald.
So good afternoon, everyone. District Board of Trustees, President Massey, Vice Presidents, Deans, family, friends, and most important, class of 2018. It's a great honor to be here today. It's been 33 years, which would be 1985, since I received my first college degree. It was an associate's degree. President Massey talked a little bit about the fact that I run an office called Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction. You don't find that in any curriculum anywhere, right? It's sort of, you don't wake up in the morning and go, hey, I'm going to go do weapons of mass destruction. So I'm going to talk about a story of how I ended up getting there. And it's a story of opportunities being offered and opportunities being taken. Much like you, I was sitting in a chair one time. Didn't necessarily know where I was going to be in 5 years. At the lunch break, I was saying, this is sort of funny. Whenever I hire somebody young out of college, I always make them sit down and tell me what they want to be doing in 5 years. And I have never been doing in 5 years what I ever thought I was going to do my whole career. But what I did do was think about what opportunities might be coming and continue to prepare myself. The fact that you folks are sitting here today is a testament to your drive and your dedication to learning. The fact that your families and friends are here to support you means you have a support network. And I would urge each of you to look left and right and think about this day going forward, because you also just built a network that's a professional network that should follow you the rest of your life. And nobody gets anywhere alone in the world. Everybody has friends, everybody has somebody opening doors, everybody has somebody helping. And so when you walk out the doors today, don't think you're walking out as individuals, but you're going out as a class, that there's a bond between all of you, and you should do everything you can to keep that bond for the rest of your life and build it and expand it with more people as you move forward. So this is my second commencement in 2 days, so it sort of throws my speech off. But I did say the last time I was at a commencement was in 2002 when I graduated from Georgetown University with a master's degree. So in between there, I also got a bachelor's from Georgetown, but the path to my education was mostly night school and applying technical school credits from things that I did in the Navy. I didn't have the luxury of going to school full time. I had that choice when I was a young kid, and I chose not to. But I did go to school at night, and I'm thankful for everything I learned, and it's been a great ride. So the reason I mention this is I know in a community like this, and especially a college like this is technically oriented, a lot of folks work other jobs, they have families, they have other commitments, but they still carve out time to go to school, and that's really important. And so it says a lot about the community. I had the privilege yesterday of flying in a little early and touring the campus, and I was really super impressed with what is being taught here and what you guys represent. Dr. Massey mentioned after 9/11 I was asked to go into the government and lead the Critical Infrastructure Protection Energy Assurance Office. A big part of what I was concerned with at that time is the whole electric grid has digital control systems that control it, which can be quite vulnerable. You guys here are learning how to deal with that. You have a small nuclear plant with pipes and valves and a digital control system. That actually is the security business of the future, the digital interface with computers controlling infrastructure. So I was really impressed when I saw that. I had not seen a college with a setup like that before, and I think it's really cool, and it's a real credit to the organization. It's really forward thinking. So I'm sure there's also veterans among you, and we already recognize, but I'd like to particularly thank the families of the veterans that supported them during deployments. And it's easy, well, it's not easy to be deployed, but it makes it a lot easier when you have family home taking care of things and you can count on others to help. So regardless of your circumstances, reaching graduation is certainly a noble accomplishment. Got to get my glasses back out. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to walk through my career and sort of key things that happened and opportunities that were offered and that I took. And I hope a few of the lessons that I learned in life help you guys as you're moving forward in your careers. So number one, you've already learned how to succeed. The fact that you're sitting here today means you are successful. You selected a goal, getting your bachelor's degree, and you're earning it today. That's a huge deal. You should hold your head high and remember that today as a great achievement, and this confidence is something you should carry with you all through life. As you're going forward and you gain more achievements, you should be really proud of yourself and hold your head high and don't question your ability, because you've proven your ability. So preparing for this day, I had to go back and do a little homework. So even though you are graduating, there will be homework in the future. I had to go do some research and I had to write a paper. So I even had a field trip yesterday to go learn about the college. So things never end. So many of you are going to embark on careers in healthcare, as first responders, educators, technologists, and possibly business entrepreneurs. The degree you walk out the door today with is a key. It's a key that'll open some doors, but it's just the key, and it helps get the door open. You've got to go through that door and grasp what's on the other side of it. As you move forward in a professional career, further education, you should think about that key you've earned. Reflect on those who have helped you get there, no matter where you go, because there will be no more doors, and there'll be more keys that are offered to you. You have to be able to recognize when they're coming and be able to say, yep, okay, I'm going to go do that. No one succeeds in isolation. There's always somebody opening doors for you. As I talk through my professional career, at every key step, somebody guided me or somebody opened a door, and I decided to take the opportunity. But that's really the decision points through the rest of your life, is preparing yourself for an opportunity to come along, know when it comes, and take it. So my professional journey started at 17 years old. I joined the Navy largely because I was bored with school and where I'd grown up. I had no plans to join the military. I had no plans at all. My cousin was a Green Beret in Army Special Forces. I thought that looked like a lot of fun, so I decided to go into the military. Now, when the Navy, I did not know this, but when the Navy has you take lots of tests as you're joining, is to decide what schools they're going to send you to. So my plan of not going to school anymore was immediately dashed as soon as I got into the Navy, and they sent me to a bunch of technical schools to learn electronics and weapon systems. So at 18 years old, I had about a year of technical schools under my belt, and I went out to the fleet to ride on ships, and I was going to be a wizard in electronics and weapon systems. I spent a few years doing that, and I sort of got bored again. So I decided I'd go to school, get a college degree, and I figured since I was already doing electronics, that electrical engineer would be a really good approach. But I knew that what I was doing at the time was only going to take me so far, and that I needed a formal education to augment it, much like you folks have already decided. So lesson number 2, always think about your options, continue to prepare yourself for what might be in your future. So after a while, I was still working. I was taking classes at night, and they were getting harder and more advanced. And there was one class in my electrical engineering curriculum that I'll never forget, and it changed my life. So it was called Engineering Circuit Analysis. And the class was at Great Lakes, Illinois. It was a night class. And as the class was starting, this sort of chunky professor walks in the room, and sort of mid-20s or so, and a little frumpy looking, but clearly super smart guy. And he grabs a piece of chalk. I realize chalk doesn't exist anymore for chalkboards, but at that time it was state of the art. And he started writing formulas on the board. And so right off the bat, I was like, oh, this doesn't look like a really fun semester. And as the class went on, this guy would write formulas, and then he'd wipe it off with his hand, and then he'd wipe his hands on himself, and there'd be clouds of dust all over him. And I'm sitting there just mortified watching this during this whole class. And sort of at the end of it, he literally looked like Frosty the Snowman. And I was like, oh my God, I am not going to be Frosty the Snowman. This is not going to be my career. So I decided right then I'd go be a Navy diver, because I didn't want anything to do with electrical engineering. So lesson number 3, stay flexible, because you never know what's around the next corner. You never know when Frosty the Snowman is going to show up. So going through Navy dive school is about as far as you can get from electrical engineering. You do deep sea diver, it's a big hard hat, underwater welding, cutting, salvaging ships, all kinds of stuff, walking around the bottom of the ocean. And I thought that'd just be an awesome adventure. And What I didn't know, though, was the electronic skills that I had learned would pay off big time later in my career. So I thought I was getting away from electronics altogether and digital computers and all that kind of stuff, and just going to go be a deep sea diver and just have a lot of fun. But in life, it's not so easy to just change your career. It's no different in the Navy. So I put in a request to go to Navy dive school, and I promptly got a response that said, no, the Navy already paid for you to be an electronics guy, so that's what you're going to be. So there I was, knowing that I was destined to be Frosty the Snowman after all. So what ended up happening is that an opportunity came along, and the commanding officer of the ship I was on had recognized I was pretty smart and I was a hard worker, and he knew I'd been turned down for dive school. So he knew I wasn't real happy with the Navy, and I was probably going to get out at the first opportunity. And he offered to let me rotate in with the officers learning how to drive the ship. Now, in the Navy, this is a really big deal, because enlisted guys are not the guys that stand on the bridge and give commands on how to drive the ship. And so I had a commanding officer who actually was looking at me as a petty officer. He said, I trust this kid enough to let him learn that and rotate in with the other officers. He had given me an opportunity which would sort of move my career down the path towards becoming a naval officer. I didn't really know it at the time, but it was a tremendous opportunity. And it led to other opportunities. So I took that, I learned how to do it, and the lesson number 4 that comes with that one is take opportunities when they come your way. You never know where they're coming from, you never know who may offer it. It's probably going to be somebody that you know that's watched you and knows that you're good at something, or remembers you from school and says, hey, I got a particular problem in a business, but I know this person that's really good at this. And that's when those opportunities come along. They tend not to be very well planned. So I became qualified as an officer of deck of a surface naval ship, basically in charge of driving the ship. And I was being groomed to be a surface warfare officer when an interesting thing happened. I was selected to be Sailor of the Year, and I got a letter from an admiral that said, when you're ready for the next assignment, you can do anything you want in the Navy. Now, the Sailor of the Year competition is sort of like a beauty pageant without the beauty. You have a lot of interviews and a lot of questions and panels deciding who's going to be the top person. But there was a small group of us, and one of the other Sailor of the Year candidates was already a diver. And so he and I spent some time talking, and he convinced me that being a diver was the way to go, but to be an explosive ordnance disposal diver would be a lot more fun and a lot more opportunities. Because an EOD diver in the Navy actually goes through deep sea diver school first. And that's the start of about 1.5 years of training. And then you go through a whole other year of school where you actually learn about every single bomb or every piece of ordnance that's ever been built since like Civil War bombs. And I've actually diffused a couple of Civil War cannonballs in my time. And it wasn't during the Civil War. I might look that age, but I'm not. So you go through deep sea diver school, and then you learn about bombs, missiles, nuclear, biological. I saw somebody had some biological stuff written on their cap over here. So you may end up working for me someday, because I certainly don't know what that meant, but it looks good. Chemical weapons, pretty much every bad thing that's ever been invented is what these guys deal with. So it was going to be a lot of fun. I go fight terrorism, work with the Secret Service, work with SEAL teams, other special operations forces, go through Army Airborne School, learn how to free fall parachute, and work in small teams all over the world. I was definitely not going to be Frosty the Snowman. So lessons number 3 and 4 together: stay flexible, because you never know what's going to come around the corner, and take opportunities when it comes. That's going to be the theme all the way through this. So the rest of my Navy career, I did the EOD Special Operations mission, and I was never bored. I had a great time. I traveled all over the world and did all kinds of really fun stuff. But I was scared a few times too. I remember one time in particular, the first time I was going to jump out of an airplane not tethered to anything. It's 13,000 feet over Bermuda. The view was spectacular. You could see the entire island of Bermuda, but that sort of created a little problem for me because I realized how high we were. And I was pretty much convinced I was going to die. I was like, this is it. This is really stupid. I did jump, and obviously I didn't die, but I jumped because I trusted the people that I was with. I trusted the training, and I knew that they wouldn't be having me do this if it wasn't the right thing to do. And it takes a lot of trust and camaraderie in a high-risk organization like that. But that gets people through a lot, depending on each other, trusting each other. And that's a lesson that never changes. And that, it's family, it's friends, teammates. Nobody can do everything alone. So I didn't die. I'm here. And I did several hundred more jumps in my career, and I actually had a lot of fun. I skydived as a sport for a while, and it was just a really good time. I did that actually until I started making some money, and my wife said, "You're not allowed to skydive anymore because life insurance doesn't cover you if you die." So that was the end of that sport. I got to do things like mow the lawn after that. So on another occasion, though, I was under a ship at night in Hawaii, in Pearl Harbor. And, when you look at the Navy dive posters and all that, it shows like really pristine water and beaches, and that's not really the way it is. It's really, really dark water, and you can't see your hand 6 inches away from your faceplate. But so we're under the ship one night, and something bumped into me in the back and sort of knocked me, and I thought my buddy was screwing around with me, and then I realized he was in front of me. And so I figured it must be one of the big hammerhead sharks that lives in Pearl Harbor. So somewhere between freaked out and calm, I'd rationalized that if the shark was actually going to eat me, he already would have done that, so he probably wasn't gonna. And so we finished the job and got out of the water. It was an interesting time, but it made me learn to be calm and trust what I was doing and trust the environment I was in. I had to defuse a lot of bombs over the years. Ideally, you just blow them up. You find something somewhere, and you can literally just blow it up where it is. But every now and then, you have to take one apart, or you have to take fuses apart. And this is where the electronics training started to pay off. So that school that the Navy made me go to, that I didn't really want to do, starts paying big dividends as I think I'm going to go out and be an action guy. And I'm actually analyzing circuits and how something might detonate. And so the more I worked in the counterterrorism world, the more I had to know about how bad guys would use those technologies against us. So lesson number 5, trust yourself and your abilities. Don't let emotions get the best of you. A lot of us, the shark thing, or being a little freaked out before you jump out of an airplane, it's totally natural, but you're actually really smart, you're really talented. You don't let your emotions get the best of you when you know how to control a situation. When the Soviet Union collapsed, that's again a long time ago, I got a phone call and I went off to interview to be a team leader of an EOD unit that was part of a SEAL team. It was called a Special Mission Unit at the time, and did some pretty amazing things. I spent the tail end of my career in the Navy in the SEAL team working on preventing terrorists from getting or using a nuclear device. So when the Soviet Union collapsed in 1991, between the United States and the Soviet Union had 70,000 nuclear weapons. And so that's a lot of nuclear bombs floating around. As the Soviet Union collapsed, there was a lot of concern about the security of those. There are 35,000 or so. And so the team that I led was responsible for, if a terrorist got a hold of one or built one, to go take it away from them. Little did I know that 20 years ago would lead to the job that I have today. So it was hard work. The team was made up of the best special operators on the planet. We wore civilian clothes most of the time. We pretended not to be in the military, but our wives used to always give us a hard time because we clearly looked like we were in the military. We all had the same Oakley glasses. We all had the same watch. And, we just dressed the same, walked around, looked the same, but we wore civilian clothes. We were convinced we were undercover, but nobody else was. Then I had to start going to Washington, D.C. for high-level meetings. And this was a pretty interesting turn, as I would go meet with people from the Department of Defense, Department of State, other countries, diplomats, and have to discuss things like national security strategy, international affairs, and a lot of other things. So one day I'd be in a rubber boat diving, the next day I'd be jumping out of an airplane, and the next day I'd be in a suit talking to diplomats. After about 4 years in the SEAL team job, I was offered a job in Washington helping create the domestic nuclear counterterrorism program. We had developed a program to go overseas and snatch a nuke from bad guys, but we hadn't developed one for inside the United States yet. So I left the Navy and started a new career. Again, it's take opportunity when it comes your way. One thing that I noticed, though, as I was going to those meetings with the diplomats is they had a lot more education than I did. And they knew a lot less about terrorists and what terrorists could do than I did, but they knew a lot more about international affairs and government and things like that. I just never studied that stuff. So it became apparent to me right off the bat that I needed to go to their school, which is why I went to Georgetown. That's where a lot of the diplomats go to school. But I needed to learn what they learned, so I could sit across the table from them and not be behind the 8 ball when they were talking about something and trying to keep up. So I spent the next 7 years going to night school to get my bachelor's and my master's degree while I continued to work my full-time job. This included a period when the attacks of 9/11 happened, so you can imagine it was a pretty busy time for somebody in counterterrorism. In fact, my thesis had just been approved, and I was writing it on a domestic response, constitutional issues as a domestic response to terrorism. Really fun title. So it's great for sleep aid if you ever want to buy the book. It's on Amazon. But I literally had this whole thing planned out, and part of it was creating a new law for how counterterrorism should happen in the United States. And then 9/11 happened, and all the policies and laws were literally changing as I was trying to write my thesis. So I had to renegotiate with the school, with the dean, to say, hey, how about let me write this as a retrospective of the way things were on 9/11, because I just couldn't keep up with the changes that were happening. So I'd finished all my classwork and I'd write my thesis, and then the rules kept changing. So it was an interesting time. And then I got asked to go back into government at the same time. So that's when I went to the energy department, and I did the SCADA digital control systems and the electric grid, that type of stuff. So in 2002, President Bush decided to create a Department of Homeland Security. I was running the energy sector part of security and including the nuclear terrorism stuff. And I got a call and said, we want you to come over to the White House and be part of the team that figures out how the Department of Homeland Security should be organized. This was another one of those opportunities based on somebody knowing me. It was, a small group of folks, and they're like, who should we bring in to be part of the team? And somebody said my name, and they brought me in there. It was a great experience. I worked really small. There was about 50 people when the department started at the headquarters. The Secretary Tom Ridge was one of the best leaders in America, was my boss, and we had no rules. We had no real plans. We just knew we had a problem, we had to solve it. And he was a great guy to work for, but it was crazy kind of opportunity because we got to draw everything from scratch. There was no organization yet. We just literally, I think we had whiteboards by then. We're probably past the chalkboard, but literally putting up org charts and wiping them off and say, no, that doesn't make sense. Where should the Secret Service be? How should they be integrated? Things like that. So it was an interesting time. Then I left, so I did that for a couple of years. I had never planned on doing another career in the government. So I went back to the private sector. I got asked to be the chief security officer and chief information officer of a nuclear company. So back to that electronics and computer stuff again. So I'm the CIO of a big company. And the chief security officer part of it was the lesser part of the job, actually, because it was right at the time when concerns about digital control systems was really ramping up. And most nuclear plants are pretty well protected from the physical security side. So I ended up doing a lot of just the opposite of what I thought I'd be doing. It was a lot more information assurance, cybersecurity, and worrying about digital controls. So I did that for a while, great job, but then I left and I went to be head of security for Amtrak, the National Railroad. That was a lot of fun for a while too. Renegotiated a police contract. I was never a labor guy, one side or the other. I was a military guy. But I ended up sitting across the table negotiating a contract with the police department. So that was pretty interesting. Learned a lot as I did that. And then in addition to that, I started a security services company. We did a lot of international oil and gas work. I led the evacuation of about 200 people out of Cairo when the Mubarak regime had collapsed. And from that, ended up developing a smartphone technology company and launching a new company. So all kinds of different things just keep happening, and it's sort of timing and opportunity. So last year, President Trump appointed me to lead part of the Department of Homeland Security. Initially, Director of Domestic Nuclear Detection, which, interestingly enough, used to do quite a bit of work with the college here, and probably will be doing again in the future. Late last year, Secretary Nielsen announced the creation of the Office of Countering Weapons of Mass Destruction. So now, not just nuclear, but chemical and biological, and some of the counter-IED policies and explosives activities. So far, my career, which is not over, has taken me from 17 doesn't mean the speech is going to be too much longer, that's okay. Taken me from being a 17-year-old kid with a high school diploma to a presidential appointee. So honestly, it's pretty cool to be able to say you've been appointed to your job by the president. I actually just found out a couple hours ago that I've been appointed twice now. So I got appointed to the DNDO job last year, and the president just, oh, thank you. Thank you very much. So, so I'm no longer the acting assistant secretary, but it's pretty cool. I'm getting to work with some really, really great people, and being able to come out and interact with folks like yourself are opportunities that, you know, most people don't get in a lifetime. So I'm feel really blessed and happy to be here. So my selection for this job was based on experience that I gained because of opportunities that I took. Right? It wasn't a plan. I never had a master plan to say, I'm going to be the WMD guru of the country. Probably wouldn't have known what that was. If it didn't come in a 12-ounce can, I didn't specialize in it. So, 3 things that happened repeatedly. I kept learning and gaining more experience. Somebody opened a door by offering an opportunity, and I said yes and took a chance. And that pattern repeated throughout my entire career. My story's a little bit different, but there's tons of other stories just like this. There are over 300 million citizens in this great country. The United States is truly the land of opportunity. The Declaration of Independence lists 3 unalienable rights: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Thomas Jefferson penned this declaration. He didn't state that humans are guaranteed happiness. He said we should be guaranteed the pursuit of happiness. Our country is based on creating opportunity for people. It's up to people to take the opportunity. Don't ever confuse an opportunity for a guarantee. Every opportunity has 2 parts: a new challenge and being prepared for that challenge. So if an opportunity comes along and you've just sort of been sitting back and you're not ready for it, you may not be able to take it. So you want to always be thinking about what are those opportunities that might come my way. And you don't have to, as I said, I didn't plan much of my career. It just sort of flowed. And what I found was, by being willing to learn more, to try to educate myself, to better myself, to understand what other people did, it kept positioning me for other opportunities. So one just sort of led to the other over about a 45-year career now. This is one reason that this college is special. You guys are connected to the community in a way that a lot of major universities are not. I was super impressed, really, when I was walking around yesterday and looking at the public safety facilities and the labs and, you know, the laser lab that's over there. There's a tremendous amount of stuff, but it's grounded in the community, and that's a really important thing. And that's actually something that the new leadership in the Homeland Security Department wants to shift the focus of the department to be much more community-based. We've been a little Washington-centric for too long. But as you go out into the world and you pursue your goals, I suggest you keep the simple set of rules in mind. Be proud of your accomplishments. Really be proud of what you've done. Prepare for what might come next. You don't know what it may be. And so stay flexible and don't be afraid to try new things. Take opportunities as they're offered and trust yourself in your abilities. And most of all, always keep learning. Now, the most important rule is have fun. Do things that make you feel good, that make you passionate, and that you care about. It's nice getting up in the morning and knowing you're going to work and making a difference. Your life and your adventure and your learning have just started. So thank you and congratulations, class of 2018.
My name is Ann Decker, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Indian River State College Foundation Office. On behalf of the Foundation Board of Directors and the Indian River State College District Board of Trustees, it is my honor to stand before you today as we proudly recognize the recipients of the scholarships provided through this foundation and through the college. These scholarships are awarded each year to deserving students who have demonstrated outstanding achievement, community service, and leadership at the college. The foundation scholarships are made possible through the generosity of businesses, individuals, and community organizations. Last year, the foundation was able to award more than 300 different privately funded scholarships. Some helped one student, some helped a couple, and a few scholarships helped more than 100. If you've ever received a book scholarship, a completion scholarship, a dual enrolled scholarship, an academic scholarship, a nursing scholarship, a Basil King, an Adrian Sample, any, I want you to stand up because we want to congratulate you. Scholarship recipients, stand up. Congratulations for getting to the finish line, and now we're going to bring you up.
Will the spring 2018 class of candidates for the Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Applied Science degree please stand? President Massey, these candidates have met the requirements for graduation as determined by the faculty of Indian River State College. On behalf of the faculty, I recommend that they be awarded the Bachelor of Science or Bachelor of Applied Science degree.
Graduates being recommended by the faculty and having completed the requirements for graduation as prescribed by the state of Florida and by the District Board of Trustees and by the authority vested in me, I hereby grant the Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Applied Science degree to you with all of the rights, all of the privileges, and yes, all of the responsibilities of being a college graduate. You may now take your tassel and move it from the right to the left. You are a college graduate.
President Massey, I am pleased to present the baccalaureate graduates. Those who have earned summa cum laude, magna cum laude, or cum laude, that is, highest honors, high honors, and honors, will receive special recognition. Students who have been inducted into the baccalaureate honor societies of Sigma Beta Delta for organizational management, Kappa Delta Pi for education, or the Honor Society for Nursing will also be recognized for their outstanding academic achievement.
President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in accounting. Barbara Field Grant, highest honors. Matthew Dennis Butcher, honors. Crystal Lee Dansbury, honors. Gray Angelo. Kyle J. Castle. Tiffany Lee Correa. Jordan Thomas Cully. Madison Michelle Freeman. Johan Gomez. Tiffany Michelle Herrera. Takesha Chantel Howard. Jamie Devon Johnson. Brittany Marie Lynch. Andrea Lynn Roman. Michael Louis Sabater. Tanisha Delahaye Street. Megan Suzanne Sullivan. Tyler Jean Trainer. Tiffany Dawn Watkins. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in biology. Rebecca L. Grace, highest honors. Jordan Marino Norris, highest honors. Roshni Macharo Sabuji, highest honors, emerging leaders. Sharon Claire Thompson, highest honors. Shelby Ray Durden, high honors. Thomas Penrose, high honors. Carolina Acevedo. Keshana Belgraves, emerging leaders. Haley Lane Butel. Zachary James Burrows. Anita Desai. Victoria Justine Knotts. Sissy Marie Crumfoltz. Jacqueline Ann Quiak. Joshua D. Moreno. Kaylee Newman. Matthew Powell Parks. Jacqueline Rochelle Rodriguez. Wesley Safamilla. Anthony B. Thompson. Jessica Leticia Vasquez. Chad Van Vosberg. Keenan Wiggins. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in Business Administration. Joseph Michael Crowder, highest honors, Sigma Beta Delta, emerging leaders. Zachary Stephen Hegland, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Jordan Nicole Denny, honors. Tiffany Amber Gardner, honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Carolina Gill, honors. Elisheba Judith Angelica McCrae Brown, honors, Sigma Beta Delta, emerging leaders. Reynaldo Quiles, honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Jacqueline Taylor Sutton, honors. Kaylee Brittany Beams. Molly J. Briggs. Angel Lynn Cassidy. Maria del Carmen Espinosa. Logan Bailey Evans. Ashley Suzanne Granberg. Daytona Marie Henry. Jasmine Denise Jackson. Kelsey E. Jarrell. Diana Karina Mendez, Sigma Beta Delta. Linda Ariana Mendez. Michael Anthony Manella, Sigma Beta Delta, Emerging Leaders. David Tyler Parker. Neil Rohit Patel. Maria Pedro. Jonathan Charles Perkins. Jillian Nikisha Elliott Slowly. David Bernard Victor. Lucia McGuire, High Honors, Sigma Beta Delta. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Applied Science degrees in Criminal Justice. Got it. Liz Helen Herrera, highest honors, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders, All Florida Academic Team. Joseph Robert Pearson III, highest honors, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders. Anthony Jesus Alas, high honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Reynaldo Diaz, high honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. April Marie Blanco, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Shelby Lynn Brady, highest honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Dejanera Castillo, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Jacob Edward Garcia, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders. Catherine Elizabeth Harper, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Gildo Leo Legassi, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Alison Paola Mendoza Vasquez, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Charles C. Spiegel, honors, Alpha Phi Sigma. Jakaya Alexander. Cassandra Ayala, Alpha Phi Sigma. Keegan Michelle Benjamin Barber, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders. Gideon Brenneville. Derek Buckles, Emerging Leaders. Got it. Travis James Conway. Mark R. Cruz. Edgar A. Espinosa.
Get closer to the mic.
Haley Nicole Fallon. Shelby Elizabeth Hardison, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders. David Jamar Hedgepeth. Celine Hicks. Stacy Lynn Jones, Alpha Phi Sigma, Emerging Leaders. Amy Nicole Kennedy. Rachel Marie Kuhn. Samantha Yatasha Mincy, Alpha Phi Sigma. Fabian Morales. Danielle Denise Mosley. Nicolas Munoz. Crystal Renee Payne. Shalou Revanche. Heather Louise Roach, Alpha Phi Sigma. Michael Anthony Scaringe, Alpha Phi Sigma. Cleveland N. Zollicoffer, Alpha Phi Sigma.
President Massey, The following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in digital media. Louis Daniel Serrano, High Honors. Angel Torres, High Honors. Ian Back, Honors. Nicole Lauren Brewer, Honors. Monica Gilmore, Honors. Nathan Sitka Murmur, Honors. Xavier Alejandro. Tyler Allen Orocho. Christopher Fowler. Kevin Garcia. Jasmine Simone Mercer. Andre Alexander O'Brien. Kayla Michelle Thompson. Ryan Williams. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in education. Christina Paulina, highest honors. Miranda Lee Mijares, high honors. Victoria Camilla Anderson. Joshua Michael Benyola. Victoria Lynn Bostick. Lauren Cassidy. Ashley Michelle Hall. Renika Lachey Hart. Megan Lenore Karwatsky, Kappa Delta Pi. Melissa J. Quintana. Deborah Ann Rye. Jonathan Paul Schrock. Jordan Marie Spencer. Rita G. Story. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in Healthcare Management. Devin Ann Schwint, high honors. Mabel Diana Simpson, honors. Andrew Scott Virasamy, honors. Jacqueline Marie Carqueño. Kimberly Lynn Hunter. Athol Anthony Johnson. Kyle Kemp. Joanna Lopez. Lexus Alexandra Moore. Sandhya Narciss. Vera Letitia Smith. Nellie Ulysses. Leoned Velez. June Marie Wells. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in Human Services. Michelle Jean Kochi, high honors. Olivia Marie Olson, high honors. Janice Petro, high honors. Krista Toll, high honors. Tracy Boswell, honors. Ariana Francesca DeCosa, honors. Shayla M. Mosley Thomas, honors. Kelly Osborne, honors. O'Hara Marie Smith, honors. Deborah Q. Sparkman, honors. Christopher Alexander Torres, honors. Charlotte E. Bennett. Charles Francis Bridge III. Anastasia J. Brinkeroff. Brenda Jeanette Buchko. Anna Maria Calcano Wilson. Leslie Hidalgo Sendejas. Latia R. Chester. Valkyria Rodriguez Colon. Amanda Lynn Curley. Oscar Escobar. Litzy Elizabeth Fernandez, Emerging Leaders. Amanda Marie Franklin. Barbara Frassard, Human Services, Emerging Leaders. Jody Ann Gillespie. Jasmine Griffin. Courtney Interosia. Karen Teresa Legis. Tammy Jennifer Laspes. Cachet Whitney Lassiter. Octavia Clark Little. Jean Edward Matthew Jr. Rowan Isleen McGarry. Anna Karen Mendoza. James Alexander Moulton Jr. Jeanette Montoya. Sophanie Morose. Fauna Rosalie Newman. Christy Joanne Novius. Olivia Erica Jean Nuzio. Deborah Mary Pasacreta. Deadira Janice Perez. Naitira P. Ridley. Brigida P. Rodriguez. Karen Ryan. Dominique Nicole Salem. Joseph Anthony Santiago, Emerging Leaders. Kelsey Shute. Raquel Lachey Shelton. Shakira Apollona Staff Thomas. Stephanie Q. Simons. Johnny O'Neill Taylor. Robin Thalusma. Rachel Torreson. Alexandria Shantae Ware. Stephanie Williams. Jessica Lee Weisner. Nicole Renee Marie Wolf.
Maria Zapata.
Maria Zapata.
President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in Information Technology Management and Cybersecurity. Eden Gabra Amlak, High Honors. Emerson Alexander Murray, High Honors. Leslie Ann Brown. Roland Pastino. Brandon S. Dunning. Eugene. Thomas Eugene Frederick. Bruce J. Geiger. Michael Douglas Heck. Robert Martin Hirsch. Ryan McKessie. Marcus Edward Monroe. Miguel Angel Navarez Jr. Christopher Todd Rizzo Jr. Alexandra Valerie Smith. Michelle Zakarian. President Massey, the following students have earned Bachelor of Science degrees in the field of nursing. Stephanie Dieter, highest honors, Nursing Honor Society. Aaron Fryoff, honors and Nursing Honor Society. Malia Keene, honors. Sharon Cordero. Rebecca Leanne Crockett, Nursing Honor Society. Melissa Hall. Rena Caballero Jimenez. Major Koo. Marie Rose Legros. Elizabeth Eileen Nabs. Christine Lynn Werner. Lisa Marie Rivera. Christina S. Subasis. Sierra May Vasquez. Ayla Vasquez, Nursing Honor Society. Taylor L. Wright. President Massey, the following students have earned the Bachelor of Applied Science in Organizational Management. Christina Post Cleversey, highest honors, and Sigma Beta Delta. Caitlin Dawn Shaw, highest honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Laura Teft, highest honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Robert Michael Catapano, highest honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Amanda Jane Christensen, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Christopher George Kent, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Cassidy Brienne Perry, high honors, emerging leaders. Miranda Victoria Sanchez, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Kinsey Marie Schwintner, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta, president of. Carrie Lynn Cease, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Sarah Elizabeth Thornton, high honors. Grace Waggy, high honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Elizabeth Bassett, honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Donna Elaine Emmett, honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Kaylee Elizabeth Parsons, honors, Sigma Beta Delta. Mary Jo Egilio Alam, Sigma Beta Delta. Chelsea Marie Bailey. Rashana Renee Beasley, emerging leaders. Serena Asha Blunt. Richard Scott Borer. James A. Briggs. Javier Alexander Bustos. Nicole Bustos. Christina Claire, Sigma Beta Delta. Thomas James Cologne. Arnisha Yvonne Demery. Akachi Oyu Dixon. Nadia Duraki Yee. Ariana Echeverria. Anthony Raymond Gambardella. Vanessa Annie Gopal. Jared Daniel Jacques. Halima Jones. Michael J. Mandisi. Jared Allen Montgomery. Gabrielle Morales. Samantha Peck. Danny Saint. Alexandra Nicole Serrano. Bilmer Gonzalez Serrano Jr. Marla Renee Thomas. Kristen Marie Wilson. President Massey, the following students have earned the Bachelor of Science degree in Public Administration. Peter D. Croft, high honors. Christy Marie Crooks Lane. Samaya Elhouni. Kara Suzanne Lawson. Duvence Emmanuel Mertel. Alexandra Victoria Nicholas. Daisy Ruiz. President Massey, this concludes the baccalaureate presentation for the spring of 2018.
You're all standing, which I was going to ask you to do. We are now going to give the benediction. So gentlemen, I need you to remove your caps, and please bow your heads with me, please. Go now, and may passion inspire you. May injustice trouble you. May hope comfort you. May friendship nourish you. May you sometimes get it right. May you laugh when you don't. May peace surround you. May love permeate you. May gratitude overwhelm you. Remember your time at the river with great fondness. Take with you the knowledge you have learned, not only in the classroom, but through your friendships and interactions with the faculty and staff. May the love of family and friends that surrounds us today be in us and among us, now and always. Amen. Please remain standing for the alma mater. Dr. Dale Reith is coming forward. The song is on the back side of your program. Please follow along.
Ladies and gentlemen, we ask you to please remain in your places until our stage party and faculty have completed their recession. Thank you.